in my opinion, Americans are one type of people, and then the rest of the world are another type of people. So even though my friend group is so versatile, like my Colombian friend, he has the exact same mentality as I am. My Uzbek friends, the exact same mentality as I am. So it kind of like the international students are really all in one category. They all think alike. They all talk alike. They're all here for the same reason. They're all financially somehow burdened, And then there could be American kids that like don't understand half of the stuff we talk about.
Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the weekly Vasl. I am here joined by a guest from across the seas again. So I'm doing a lot of outreaching to people outside of Europe and Pakistan. So now I'm here with Omar. Omar, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's an early morning. I like that, waking up, having this conversation with I've never met you before, and I feel like I already know a lot about you already, and you know a lot about me already. So it's a nice way to start this.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's going to be fun. So why don't you tell us where are you calling in from, Omar?
I'm actually calling from Tucson, Arizona. This is where I'm going for college, and yeah, right now it's around 10 a.m. So nice part of the
That-
day.
that-
Yeah.
yes, that's good. It's good. Is it warm? Arizona is warmer, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's
is
a
it cool?
desert. It's right like
Ah,
the weather here. I always say it's bipolar. The weather is
okay.
bipolar. Sometimes it gets very cold, and sometimes it automatically switches to very hot. So depending on how it's feeling today, you need.
Okay.
Yeah, usually right now it's a perfect weather right now. It's not that hot. Usually I hate the
Yeah.
heat. Like in the summer, July is
I
the
can
worst.
imagine why, because you come from Egypt, right? So it is the land of the intense sun, right? So from
Yeah,
there I think it's gonna be fine.
it's so unfortunate. Like the one time I travel across and live alone, I choose a country that's also a desert. Uh, a city like from all the cities or states from the U.S., I ended up choosing the desert zone. I didn't even know. I looked up. I thought Arizona had a sea or anything in the beach. I was like, maybe, probably, but when I looked that up, I was like, no, nothing.
No,
All
it
right,
doesn't
sure.
exist. It's in the Midwest. Yes, indeed. So that's basically what I want to talk to you about, Omar. You are living abroad in a new place, and there's a lot of challenges that come with it. So before we start with anything, tell me, how is life in the US and how is your university going?
Well, I honestly believe in the way of trying to evolve or try to get yourself better. So obviously, yeah, when I was back home and living with my family, I wasn't that socially strong. It wasn't one of my strong assets. So I would always be shy. I would always start be nervous talking to new people. So when I came here, I had the expectation. I was like, all right, this is I will have to talk to new people. This is where my chance to get myself better at this area. And I saw it as a challenge, but more of a challenge not to be feared, but to be excited for. Okay, and that's the difference between a lot of people that I see that come here that really are afraid of the new environment, of the new struggles, of the new challenge of living alone and meeting new people. Culture shock. Yeah, sure, it's culture shock, but to what extent of shock? I don't believe in a word culture shock because we watch all American movies, we watch American TV shows. We kind of know what to expect. You just come here and be like, oh my god, it's actually true. So it's not really a shock.
And that is true. That is true. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, so the world is really connected in some sort of way. So you're really expecting some sort of similarities to what you already know from online stuff, and you're like, now it's you're in the game now. So I would say that the hardest thing for me is getting myself out there, but I was trying to find any sort of way. Definitely, I messed up many few times, and I don't regret it, but I find it funny when I look at it from right now and see
Yeah.
how much development has happened. And you're like, oh, you know what? It's funny to laugh at how it started.
Yeah, and that's basically what I'm interested in understanding, right? How it all started. So first, let's get through the practicals. Like, what are you studying there at university?
I'm studying the pharmacy. I'm currently in pharmacy school right now. and I'm approaching my Pharm D. So becoming a pharmaceutical doctor is one of my passions. Yeah.
All right, where did it start?
I came at 2019 in my freshman year of college, and basically I spent 2 years of undergrad, and then you could, if you finish some certain prereqs, you can transition to the actual graduate pharmacy school program, which is 4 years. And I'm
Yeah.
currently in like my third year of pharmacy school. So overall, out of the 6 years, it's my fifth year.
All right, you've been studying for a long time.
Yeah. What I always say is like I feel right now that Tucson is some sort of my home. When I go back home, I somehow miss this place. After a couple of weeks, I'm like I feel homesick to here. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I want to get into all of that stuff, but first, why pharmacy?
This is where like I feel like I should have dug a little bit deeper when I was younger. I mainly chose it because of my interest in science, but also my father was also a pharmacist. And so that gave me the inclination that hey, even if I find struggles in the future, I'll have my dad to lead me some sort of way. And I take my dad as a very important role model and guidance in my life. So I was like, well, it's also a nice way to seek his help in the career. But right now, honestly, I didn't deep into it. I'm realizing that I like it and I want to do a different also pathway from what he is doing.
Yeah.
But that's how it started, at least. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And what pathway are you choosing for, which is not your father's?
My father is a professor, so I'm really trying to stay away from academia. I want to focus more on industry. I feel like there's a lot of important stuff going in industry. The money is where the businessmen are, and I
Yeah.
feel if you're able to sell anything, you're able to sell drugs, but then obviously I mean it in a legal way.
That makes complete sense, actually. So you're studying pharmaceuticals. You are in your fifth year. So you're not really, you've been through it, right? You feel homesick when you go back home to Egypt.
Yeah.
So apparently it's not home yet. So I want to delve deeper into it. How did you choose the US, and why? What are the reasons behind that?
To be honest, when I was in college, sorry, in high school, I was in the American system preparing for my SATs all the time.
Yeah.
So the one thing I was destined to do was like I'm gonna go study in the US. I knew it was my way to get character development. Did I
Yeah.
really care what university? Did I really care where exactly to go? No, I knew I just needed that type of culture to satisfy some sort of the challenge I need to do the character development. I knew if I stayed in Egypt with the family, I'll never change. I'll be the same person 4 years on. And I can see that in other friends of mine that stayed back home and did their college there. And I go back and meet them. I'm like, you guys are that same thing. You still play video games and you still play the same stuff we used to do 5 years ago. What changed? Not really that much. And I find that as a fear. And so I knew I wanted to live alone. I knew I wanted to live in the U.S. And this is where my college search started to go on.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the University of Arizona provided me with some sort of financial help, and that was like a nice made me inclined to just like go there. And
Uh,
from there, I was like, I always believe whatever college you choose or whatever major you choose, it's not going to be easy. There's nothing called an easy major.
yeah.
It's going to be every major is hard. It just depends on how hard you wanna become good at it.
That makes complete sense, and I do like your point of moving abroad and suddenly feeling like there is a new development in life that your friends back home don't feel. I have a similar experience because I live abroad and I live alone, and a lot of my friends live in Pakistan. And by the way you're talking, so I'm going to assume a lot, so do correct me if I'm wrong. But uh, your father was a professor. You somehow managed to come to the US, so you're not really from you, I don't want to say, but you're from a very stable background.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, like
Yeah.
financial wise, it's a stable middle class family.
Yeah,
I know, yeah, exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
Stable,
So
settled, nothing super fancy, but at the same time, like I
not
lived in a very
yeah.
comfortable lifestyle as a
Yes,
kid. Yeah.
yes, and because of that, your friends are also from the similar socioeconomic background, right? So I have the same feeling. I come from a very upper middle class family in Pakistan, and now I move here, and here life is very different. You can see here, like I am drying my own clothes. I never did that in my life back in Pakistan, right? Because I was always raised with supportive maids and help, because yeah, that's normal. Labor is so cheap. So now when I go back home and I see my friends my age, but they're the same. They will walk into their house, not do a lot of things. They're like, we have help, we have drivers, and I'm like, yeah, but how? Even my
They
own
can't
brother, I'm
cook.
like,
They can't eat dry clothes. They can't. They're living the same fancy lifestyle. And that's not nice. You want to live on the edge. You know, the more you live on the edge and you're satisfied with it, the better it is. You know, the simpler you are as a person, the more competent you feel. Yeah, exactly like that. I live. Technically, I'm living in a lower lifestyle than I used to live, but I love it. You know, it's like
it's shocking. Yeah, like we spend so much money to move abroad for a better life, but our life back home was much better. It was much better from that point of view. If you tell any American, or if I tell any European, when my colleagues, I tell them, I'm like, hey, I have three maids at home. They're like, what the hell, three maids? I'm like, yeah, one takes care of my grandmother, one cooks food for us, and one basically cleans the house. They're like, are you rich or something? I'm like, no, labor is just so cheap in Pakistan that it feels like you're rich. And
and
that's the
it's
thing.
not that it's yeah it's exactly as you say that back home everyone has their own drivers, and it's more about how much you're able to have multiple characteristics to do different stuff. So as you mentioned earlier, taking care of yourself, it should be a natural instinct in everybody. It's like
Yeah.
a necessity, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, who's gonna take care of you then, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And because we live in such a cherished and stable environment, your friends, my family, they don't feel the need. So my friends were with me in Turkey, where we learned everything, washing our own clothes, cleaning each other's toilets, learned a lot in life. But then they went back home, and some of them literally said that, why would I leave this life now? I tried that life. I do not like it. I'm back. I'm comfortable. I have a car. I have a driver. I have everything. Why should I? And that's what's confusing to me, Omar. People move to a new place to try new things, and then they come back and they're like, maybe that's not for me. Is that okay? And why should we judge them?
I find it's heartbreaking for me. I find it disappointing is that it's hard for people. It's understandable for people that never really had the taste of the new lifestyle, and they're still doing the same thing as used to before. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
I cannot judge you because you never really had the option. But if
yeah,
you had the option and you had the option to struggle and you chose not to, it just uh, it just shows that you're not really comfortable to ever take a challenge, to ever take a step out of your comfort zone. Because yes,
yeah,
no one, no, I'm not saying that living without my parents is easier. No, I used to love living with my mom, cooking for me every day. I didn't have to worry about food. I didn't have to worry about my clothes. But at the same time, here I like when I have a huge checklist, homework, car stuff, this, and then the end of it, this is laundry. Okay, and you do it at 12 a.m. and you're like, all right, I finished laundry. Thank God, you know. It's nice to have all these. It makes you versatile, makes you multi-dimensional,
indeed,
and
indeed.
but then nobody can tell you cannot do anything. You know, you're like, no, you know what?
And
I can
yeah,
cook, by the way. I can do
I
this.
get I get your point of view, but it's what's interesting for me is, if you become rich as a pharmaceutical doctor, right? If you become very rich, won't you still have help there in the US?
Yeah, no, I think it depends really. I feel like yeah, from let's say when I did have a job when I come here, and I understand your question is like, at some sort of point you realize that hey, the stuff you're doing, it's more convenient if you spend money for to let somebody else do it. Okay,
Yeah,
but that's why because you in that time you're saving and the energy you're saving, you're putting it onto something else. So it's some
yeah,
sort of an investment.
yeah,
Yeah, obviously, if I become super rich and I have somebody to clean for me, I'm doing that because hey, I'm gonna start. to put that time in traveling somewhere where I have to have some business to take care of, so I can't clean. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But your point of view is like people that still need that sort of help. But what they're doing, they're sitting in the other room playing Fortnite. Okay, this is what's going on, and that's why
Yeah.
like, well, bro, yeah, you're wasting your time and money just to play. No, you could have cleaned that yourself.
Yeah, makes sense. I sincerely believe that as a youngster, you need to in university, you definitely need to experience this life. If later on, from the friends of mine who say they said, "Why should I struggle now?" I do understand them because yes, in their young life, when they were 18, 20, 22, they did this, and they came back and they tried, and now at 28, 29, they're enjoying their life, they're earning good money, and they're like, now we don't need to do anything. I'm like, I understand. You tried, and now the phase is gone. But because here in Europe is the same. Like when you start young at 14, 15, you get these odd jobs, right? You go and work in a restaurant, you work here, you work there. So those are good experiences. But afterwards, I don't judge people if they earn good money and they choose to spend their time doing these kind of things. I don't like it. I would not approve of it, but hey, it's your money, it's your time. It
It's
becomes a bit difficult.
understandable. Yeah, I can see your
Yeah,
point of view. It's
yeah,
understandable. Yeah, you're in a
yeah,
later stage of life. You have to have some sort of development. You have a family now.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Indeed,
you should
indeed.
live within your. You should always live within your limits. So if your
Yeah,
limits
indeed.
allow you to have a car when you didn't have a car, you're like, okay, now I have a car. I don't have to
Yeah,
walk everywhere. I don't have to use public transportation anymore. But you're still like the idea of the car was never guaranteed, and now it's an option. That type of thinking is where you're approaching it. It's something is
yeah.
never guaranteed that you'll have the service, but you have to work for it until it's an option.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you don't take it for granted, but that's the problem that we have, right? We were raised in places with our parents doing so much for us that we take it for granted, right? And if we have children, I actually have a child now. She's 4 months old, right? And to me, I want to give her the world, right? My wife is like, no, she needs to work those odd jobs. She needs to work at a restaurant. She needs to work at this when she's 16, she's 70. She needs to learn because my wife is from here.
Oh,
She
okay,
she
okay,
she learned this, but I didn't learn this. My sister didn't do shit, right? She
yeah.
literally went from home, university, and then job, and then marriage. So she never did these things. So for me, I'm like, why should I make my daughter do these things? She will learn, she will work, and then when she's ready to settle, she will settle. She doesn't need to do these odd jobs. I'm her father, but then she's like, she needs to learn. It's not about you.
It's very
She
hard.
needs
Yeah,
to.
I can. Sorry, a couple of times I used to think about it if I ever have a child, but then I was like, it's hard to. I can yeah, having your position right now is very hard. It's like you still have to keep back of your head. You still have to be mean, just so they learn something. You know.
Exactly. It's so difficult. It is so difficult. I'm really enjoying this conversation already, and we're already 20 minutes in, but I really wanted to talk about how does it feel living alone in a new country? So you experience a little bit, but we talked about culture shock. We talked about being alone and having to make friends. Was that easy for you?
Uh, the way I made friends here was I feel it changed my perspective about life. A kind of way. All my friends I met here, I met through coincidence. It made me understand, and they're still my best friends for the last 5 years. And when I say coincidence, it made me see life as, hey, it's an adventure. You're hoping, you're optimistic, and you're hoping you might meet the right people along the way. Because I met my best friend through a random soccer game, and we planned to go there because we had a mutual friend that lived in Egypt, and he was like, hey, he texted me, he was like, hey, bro, I also know another guy that is in the same university as you are. And he gave us our contacts. I never met this new person. And we are like, I'm going to play soccer this time. You want to come? Come. Met him. Cool, nice person. And then we talked for a little bit. We hung out a few times. My one of my best friends till now. He introduces me to during COVID. He has to move to another dorm where he meets a Colombian and two Uzbek twins. Random combination, all right. Meets them in the kitchen of the dorm, and my friend the Egyptian, he goes and he talks to them in the kitchen during COVID, where he shouldn't be talking to anybody, but he goes there and he talks to them and he interrupts them, and they become somehow sort of friends, and I meet them, and I was like, all right, these are cool kids. And ever since that, all five of us have been friends since then. So the reason I say coincidence is like right now, if somebody tells me, hey, you want to come play soccer? I want you to meet this new guy. I'll be like, sure, cool, if I have time. I'm not more reluctant to invest my time thoroughly like this. But back then I did it, and I was like, okay, this is so random, so nice. So that's when I become with friends. But I realized the funny thing though, and I think you might relate to that. Uh, in my opinion, Americans are one type of people, and then the rest of the world are another type of people. So even though my friend group is so versatile, like my Colombian friend, he has the exact same mentality as I am. My Uzbek friends, the exact same mentality as I am. So it kind of like the international students are really all in one category. They all think alike. They all talk alike. They're all here for the same reason. They're all financially somehow burdened, And then there could be American kids that like don't understand half of the stuff we talk about.
I get what you mean. I think it's also like a European Caucasian thing. So Americans, Europeans really have a different lifestyle, and Latin Americans and Middle Easterns and even South Asians, East Asians, we are like coming from a very different lifestyle. We're more familial. We care about
Familiar.
family, responsibilities. Like more collectivistic. We're like, you know what? It's not just about us. It's about my parents. It's about this, that. And the Europeans and the Americans are more like, hey, it's just me. Because
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I'm not saying that the American lifestyle is completely wrong. I'm just saying I noticed how
different.
I didn't think that we would be so similar to each other. I thought everybody would be something different, but I was like, oh, you guys are exactly the same. That's nice.
They have their same problems.
And the other thing, what I see here in everybody that goes to college, uh, I hold a lot of orientation sessions for new incoming freshmen, and everybody's interest is joining fraternities or sororities, and that's the traditional way to make friends. You bet. I'm gonna join a frat, and these are like brotherhood houses where they meet a bunch of people and they make a lot of parties. So that's why I know guys why they want to join. Okay, for sororities, they do the same thing, but really more about friendship, no parties at all. So if the girls want to join sororities, I'm understanding they all meet other girls the same age, but some sisterhood style. And then there's the fraternities where they're the same thing, but they have the edge of they throw very nice parties, and all the girls around campus they come to these parties, and it's nice. So I never really did any of that. I didn't believe in it because I didn't back home. We didn't have any of that. Fraternities and sororities is only, and I'm realizing it's only an American thing. I don't think there would be college. Yeah, so it's not even in Europe. Yeah, it's not in Europe, and I find it as an easy way an easy way to get out of the problem, because everybody that wants to go to college, yeah, the struggle is trying to make new friends, bigger environment, international or not, it's really the same struggle for everybody. And joining a frat just to be socially strong is not really nice, because the consequences that they make you do is not really worth it. I feel like every upcoming person that goes to a frat, they have to go through an initiation process. That initiation process includes a lot of hazing in an unrespectful way. They make
Yeah,
you do stuff that no human being would want to do for no reason. So that's not
yeah.
like.
But does that? Yeah, but does that happen in University of Arizona?
Oh yes, yeah, it happens. It happens to some extent, and I'm not saying they make you do horrible stuff, but I'm talking about more of image wise that they would make you, let's say, run outside with your underwear on campus and scream. Okay, why you wanna do that? For what? For parties, for girls, really? This is my point of view. Because on the other way, if you have a strong social group and you make good friends, I still was able to do all that party settings that I always wanted to do. I watched when I was young. I watched the movie Party X, and Project X, and
Everyone has seen that movie.
I was like, it would be my dream to do something similar like this, So at least not to the same extent, but have a lot of people in my house, my party. It'd be like
Yeah,
it's an inside dream.
yeah.
Uh, so you could do that other ways, and I feel, and it disappoints me the most when international students want to. want to join friends. Because why? They don't want to join friends to meet friends. They want to join friends to party and meet girls.
Yeah.
You can see it in them, you know. And I'm like, no, bro, you can do it other way.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It is a very different thing to understand, especially because you're so young and you're so peer pressured into doing these things just to feel like a
Yeah,
sense of belonging.
yes, exactly. Like I don't, I still don't. It's more of a sense of belonging, as you said. You feel like everybody is doing that, and I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to do partying, and I had it inside of me. I've seen that in movies and TV shows, and I was like confident enough to try it out, to try those stuff. I just had that instinct in me, and I kind of feel like it's nice to take it out of your system too early rather than still being 20. I can meet people that are like 28, 29, and they never really were able to talk to somebody in a bar or club. They're still afraid to go up to somebody. No, I'm
I
not
can't. Yeah, but I can't. I would learn. I would love to learn from you how, because I can't, and it's very shocking to me. And I think this is where these fraternities and this American European concept comes into play. It's so easy for them to start up a conversation. For us,
I mean, it's always. I feel like it's always person to person. Really, it's. I honestly believe that you have to do a lot of homework, preparing before going into action. That has to do with what I mean by homework. That has to do with appearance. That has to do with how you dress, all that. And from then, if you do proper homework from then, in my opinion, you're really well settled out there. One of my friends used to tell me, bro, I don't think any girl was gonna say that you look ugly. They might not just be interested, but nobody's gonna be like, oh, he's 100% ugly. You know what I mean? And that was like, okay. It's in my opinion. I feel like a lot of the homework is very important. You know,
so homework basically means dressing up well.
yeah, dressing up well, going to a gym as well. If you have a very nice body, that also helps out 100%. Helps
But
out. Helps out
that's
more than
unfair, Omar. You look nice. I don't have the same body as you. Does it? It seems
no, my
like that.
friend. I came from college. I was very chubby. So I came from high school. I was a little bit chubby. I did start working out here. I was like, I went through the same typical boy, how most boys went to the gym. I got heartbroken. Started going to the gym. 2 months in, I was like, screw that girl. She was ugly anyways. I don't feel because you see yourself getting stronger and stronger, and you're like, I don't care anymore. And that's what I say when you have a good body. I go up to people, and if they reject you, and that happens to me a lot, I get rejected many times. And in my head, I'm like, I don't care. It's hair loss.
Yeah, yeah.
who,
That's
who is she
confidence.
gonna who is she gonna date instead? Some skinny white boy that all he does all day is vape. Right? That's what I'm like. I'm better than that kid.
And that's it's remarkable to see that confidence, Omar, because yeah, it is difficult. As I said, I don't consider myself a very shy person, but or else I wouldn't be able to do these podcasts, of course, right? It's very
Oh,
difficult
exactly.
to
So that's why when
learn.
you said that, I
Yeah,
was like, I don't think you are, bro. Like,
yeah, no,
I
but
think
I
you are
cannot,
more confident.
but I cannot show up and talk to random people out of nowhere. I can do it, but I wouldn't want to do it. That's the
Yeah,
whole
bro.
point.
I don't want to do it either most of the time. It's like yeah. It's more like a competition with myself. Yeah, I generally don't feel like I have any desire to go after girls anymore. After that, life is more valuable than and you can put your time in more important stuff than that. But
Yeah,
it's always like, well, if your friends are around you and stuff like that, you wanna make a laugh with them, you wanna joke around them, let's go talk to this one, let's go talk to these two
yeah.
girls. Hey, you look like the pop of girls. I don't know, some random stuff.
So you really enjoy partying, and you told me that it didn't happen much back home. So how was
Oh yeah.
that experience?
From obviously back home, I lived with my family until I was 17. I had two sisters, so that really, I never really partied at all. Nothing. No, even not even once in the party. Nothing at all. My whole high school was basically just studying. Preparing for my SAT is nothing really important. When I came here, I was focused on school because I had a scholarship. So if I missed that out, I'm screwed. I'll go back home. So my priority
Yeah.
was college, and I realized it's not that hard. and it's not that challenging as I thought it was. I came here thinking that, oh my God, all these Americans are gonna whip me and they're gonna be better than me and they're gonna be 10 times better and I'm not gonna understand anything and
Yeah.
I'm gonna struggle so much. And then 2 months and I was like, oh, that's not bad, that's easy. I'm realizing they're not that smart as I thought they were. But like there are a bunch of them that are obviously very smart, but the average
Yeah.
is like, oh, you would be above average if you're really a hardworking student.
Yeah.
So I figured out how to study, and then I was like interested to explore socially. I didn't like that I had that fear inside of me that I wanted to do something, but I wasn't able to. Obviously, I would miss a lot of people in class, but I want to get a stronger bond with them. So I'm like, how do I become more friends with them? How what do they do? How do I find the similar interests between both of us outside of class? And the idea of party showed up. You'd see connections. Connection is very important. You have to ask people for stuff, and they would tell you where parties they're going to, and you check them out. They're shit parties, but you're like, okay, it's okay. You connect more, and so after that, COVID came up. So really, I didn't party that much during that time. But afterwards, meeting other friends, I would see their stories and be like, "Where are you guys at?" I find it's more about initiative, and after that process, I got into more party and I experienced more, and it gave me some nice experience where I can really some let's say irritate out of my system. You always wanted to. Let's say you always wanted to try to be a soccer player, and you try out and you worked for a little bit, and then you realize, hey, maybe it's not for me. Okay, but
I
it's
get
okay.
it.
It's okay to try as long as you try. I mean, in my opinion, as long as you try anything, now you know. Now you know
Yeah.
you like it or not. Yeah, sure, I liked partying for a little bit, but then when I mean by I took it out of my system, it means that at some point I didn't like it that much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like this new toy for a little bit, but after then you're like, you want to
Oh, but
throw
that's
it out.
that's amazing because you got to learn from this experience and decide it's not for you. A lot of people don't get out of that experience, Omar. They just go like, "No, this is life, and we're gonna keep doing it." Or drinking, or smoking weed, and doing stuff that like that. It is a bit difficult, but I completely agree with you. You need to get it out of the system somehow, sometimes.
Yeah,
And
I love it. I love the partying itself and the dancing is not what I love. I love the idea to socialize with people. So if you put me, it's the socializing thing that I still love, but I want to do it in the settings outside of party settings.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
if we have like a lunch meeting for a conference, that is 10 times better for me than a Friday night
yeah.
in a club. And that's 10 times better.
But
So
how do you get
for
that?
this,
How do you get that? Because when I try to talk to people here, I host meetups such as lunch with a conversation, such as 10 toasts, where we get together. It's actually tomorrow I have an event and 10 people are like open spaces and only 3 people are coming, including me, because people are not interested. But if you look at stuff like, oh, expat new drinking or pub crawl, 50 people sign up,
that is
right?
so true. That is so true. And I feel like it's more about finding what I said. Yeah, you might like the socializing, but not in a party setting. But I don't think a lot of people share the same belief as you and I.
Yeah.
To them, I realize that I don't really drink at all. So I realize that it's totally fine to go out and be sober while everybody else is drunk. I kind of find it normal. I'm like, it's cool with me.
Yeah.
Other of my friends, they find it impossible to even consider it on a night out. No, they have to be drunk. I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't have to, you could just be sober. So that's where a lot of people come and they really need to drink to socialize. And
I've heard that as well. I've heard that
that's
as well.
that's just like, even if you like drinking and even if you're a confident person, you should always try to be like, well, no, I have to challenge. I have to see you how it's like when I'm sober, and then you see and you may find difficulties, and you're like, hey, you know what? I cannot just leave that difficulty on my desk and not solve it. You have to try to be like, well, I have to try again and see if I can be better at it, and then.
Yeah.
So a lot of people may not like the meetup of a lunch meetup or stuff like that. Why? Because they still wanna drink and they still wanna do that.
Yeah, no, it's actually difficult, and I think that's our Middle Eastern upbringing. because by chance we were raised in a society. Egypt is still a bit more open minded compared to Pakistan, as far as I know. But I can be wrong. Of course, I didn't live in Egypt. But yeah, we were raised to be like, okay, no drinking, no smoking. For us, for us, it was no, not even talking to girls. Omar, that wasn't
No,
even
same
allowed.
thing.
Yeah,
I had the same struggle with my friend. My parents would my dad would catch me in the middle of the night texting somebody. I had the same struggles growing up. My family is very religious to that end, and I find it funny because I questioned my dad a couple of times later on in my life. I was like, well, if you knew that I taught to this and this and that, why didn't you stop me? And he said something as a very nice thing as a father. He was like, I needed you to learn on your own to
yeah,
stop or to not do that. But I'll keep pressuring. I'll put the pressure. I'll not let you live your life like that. Whatever, do whatever you want. I'll just bother you and annoy your ass. But I'll let you do the final decision on your own.
yeah.
And this is where it kind of helps me right now to, as I said, get it out of my system and find what I truly want. Is that when I had the opportunity to do whatever I want, here in the US, you still you ended up choosing the nice path, which is like socializing, without being under the pressure of having to be drunk, having to be under an influence of any drug. You can do something
That's
during the day. You can do it at night. You can do it when
yeah.
nobody.
No, it's actually a wonderful saying by your dad. I was also raised by parents who were religious when I was young, but the older you get, the more difficult it is for them to keep tabs on you, right? They're like, "Hey, you're old now. It's your choice. You need to learn how to do it." So it really becomes a bit difficult. But I think that upbringing really helped us because we learned to do something. What I also see with my European colleagues, it's very difficult for them. I tell them, "Let's have a conversation, talk to each other without drinking," and they're like, "Huh? That's not possible."
And I'm glad you brought the idea of bringing up. One thing I realize here the most, and I still think about it every time I see something in here. I started appreciating my parents way much more when I came to the US and realized that, hey, everybody's parents here, the relationship is not really that good. And most people have divorced parents. Most people they don't really appreciate or they don't like their parents. And I was like, well, and I understood, and definitely, yeah, there was a lot of problems up and down. I feel like that's the socializing, the socialism, the deciding to get marriage, the bondage, all that stuff is not strong enough. Why? Because growing up, you had the idea of like, I can meet a girl, I can leave the girl, I can be girlfriends, we can be in a relationship for a little bit. Doesn't work out, I'll leave her. I can get to marry her, and then I might divorce her. And it's all like it's an unbalanced structure. There's no right path. While compared to back home, I feel like my relationship with my parents is very stable. At least growing up, they had like, oh, my dad was focused. Okay, then he wanted to find a wife. Then he found a wife, got married, organized, they have kids, all that stuff. Nice way. But compared to here, the idea is like, if I can understand why marriages here don't really work that much, and there's a high 50% divorce rate, is because growing up, they always felt the same way. I can meet a random girl, I can date her for a little bit, and then after that we can get married. But there's not really a strong structure bond. That's because you have options outside of the marriage.
Yeah. I understand that point of view, but in Pakistan at least, so do tell me about Egypt. Less divorce doesn't really mean happy marriages, right?
That's so true as well, and
Yeah.
I agree with that. And yes, a lot of people. I believe that if you have a kid, really, you really are tied to the marriage, not because of how you feel, but the responsibility for that kid.
That is a very important point of view because my parents is the same thing.
So once you decide to have a kid, it's more of an agreement. Hey, no matter how we feel in the future, I don't think we should ever divorce for the responsibility of that kid. Because you can still be married and not have kids, and that's what at least I have the planning in my head to do. Is like, yeah, you can take your marriage for a test run for a few years, for 4 years or something, and then see after on if you want to take a child or not. But yeah, so that's actually better if you decide to not be happy, but and you do not get divorced, and you still be on your marriage just because you have kids. It's more of a less selfish approach.
Yeah, but that's I agree with you 100% because that's also in Pakistan. I have my family members who feel the same. My grandparents are the same. My grandmother says she doesn't like my grandfather anymore, but she only stuck around for the kids. But now they've been together for like 50 plus years almost, so they love each other in a very love and hate kind of relationship, and it's very cute to see because they're not happy with each other, but they're like, I have no other choice. I spent 50 years with this person, and now my
Yeah,
kids
and
are
I
old.
feel it's always sticking around. Eventually, you might fall in love with them again. You know. Uh, yeah, I find the struggle right now. I have really big difficulties really liking a girl to the point that I want to be in a relationship with her. Why? Because what I do is I talk to somebody for a couple of months, then I'm like, not interested anymore. I'm interested in finding someone else. I'm interested in this new person that I don't even know anything about. How that's wrong. However, if I only know that I have this girl here for me, I can never have anybody else. I'll be like, well, I don't like her right now, but let's try to figure another side of her. Let's try to find another way. Let's try to. You'll be more focused to fall in love with what you have. If I tell you, hey, you can only eat eggs every single night, okay, you'll get bored of them after the third day or fourth day, and then the fifth day you'll be like, well, let's try to add some hot sauce to it. Let's try to add some this with it. You'll try to change it up, but you still eat the eggs.
Yeah, I get it. I get your point of view. This is very, very interesting because it is basically what I hear from you is the more choice you have, the worse it is for you as a person because you always go like, oh, there's always more. There's always more fish in the sea, as the Americans say, right? And that doesn't help you in the institution of marriage because it makes it easy to leave. And I really agree with you. When you have kids, it's not about you anymore. It's about the kids. It's about a stable structure that they need. But it is very difficult, Omar, for individuals to understand that living in the West, because the West is not about others. It's about yourself. It's always been me first, individuality that, my happiness, my money, my house, my rules, my guns, in America, for example, it's all my rights. So it's very difficult for them to be open to the fact that it's not about you anymore.
It is,
So
it is,
yeah,
and this is where we try to make a change in some sort of people. I just find it very, if you're not able to reach that level of being selfless, you're really not that mature enough. You know, you're not that really in touch with your emotions that much.
mm,
You're not a deep person, and I feel the least you can do for a child is give him two parents.
yeah,
Okay.
That-
You don't have to give. You can be poor and they'll still be happy and competent with it and understanding. You'll still. You can die early and they would never blame you. Yeah, but if you leave for another, if your mom leaves for another guy, that's just gonna make that child really empty. Part of him is empty for the rest of his life. Just because my mom did this certain decision.
yeah, yeah,
I just feel it's really damaging long term for
yeah,
a kid that you really really should be loving. They say a mom loves her kid more than anything, and that's what my
yeah,
mom used to tell me too. So
yeah. Your mom tells you to, because our
yeah,
moms always tell us that they love
yeah.
us a lot.
So I feel it's a mom's instinct. Mom's instinct to really love and nurture her child. They would sacrifice themselves for you. You know, if a
Yeah,
car is coming by, they would protect you for so you can live, and they would die. But
yeah.
if a mother in the West cannot do that, and she decides to run away with some 22-year-old instead, that's just a weird thing. That's just super
Yeah,
selfish.
yeah, but it's also fathers who do this, right? So it's all mothers
Father as
and
well,
fathers.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
both
Everyone,
parents.
everyone does it. It's more like an individual thing. But talking about parents, you love your parents, but they're all the way in Egypt, Omar. So I want to end this conversation by talking about how does it feel to live without a family, and do you miss it? Your sisters, your parents? Because you said you were homesick when you go back to Egypt, not when you're
Yeah,
here in Holland.
Yeah, I do sometimes miss my parents. I That doesn't mean I truly do not appreciate them and love them more. However, sometimes the best thing I could do is you can put so much time and love and emotions in a 2 minute voice note that I send my dad randomly, telling him how much I appreciate him, how I thought of him, and how much I appreciate this. Why? Because I thought about something right now in the middle of the night, and he would read it the next day. I would see that this is way much more sharing and being more what's the word? Being more vulnerable. Okay, and that's the most important thing. So that's what I do a lot. Yeah, sometimes in my during my day I'm really busy. I don't have time to call. I don't have to. But if something funny happens in my day and I want them to know, they'll be the first people to know about it. I don't like to lie about to my parents at all. Like I don't hide from them anything, nothing really at all. And this is where the relationship gets stronger and stronger. I tell them I hang out with girls, even though they raised me not that way. I tell them I go partying, even though they might not like that. But I feel like I don't like having two different sides, and so sharing that full relationship with them. Now they know how I'm living here, so they're less worried somehow. Okay, and obviously the years pass by and becomes less and less worrying for them. And for me, I love the fact that I am able to share my whole new adventure with them.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true. That's pretty cool.
to every detail, anything funny happened, anything even if it wasn't that funny, the way I thought about it makes it somehow more funny. Anything relatable. My mom, for example, had downloaded Snapchat, and I snap her a lot of the times, because it's just quick and easy.
Easy. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and that's very fun. So it's all this. Calling them is very nice, even if it's not. I cannot see them a lot, but the more and then yeah, the more you appreciate somebody, you'll always have good feelings for them, and that's where
Yeah.
I am feeling competent. Yeah, obviously, the one thing I might regret, to be honest, and I think about it all the time is I am afraid in the future that I would regret not spending these 5 years with them and instead
Yeah.
spending them away from them. Because they always say that once your parents pass away, the first thought that you would think about is like, hey, I wish I spent more time with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I think about that, I'll track it back down to this time right now.
Yeah, but it's also I get it. I get it completely, and I really am enjoying how you do it because, to be honest, when I was in university, your age, Omar, I wasn't doing it. I used to talk to my family once a week or something because my parents also understood I'm there to enjoy my life and anything. But now, becoming a father, I suddenly realized the importance of parents. So I call them every day to show their granddaughter. I'm like, let's talk, let's do something. And it comes a bit later. So it's great to hear that you already have it and it's beautiful. But yeah, I also want you to know that it's okay to also have your own life because this is what I always tell my family as well. That yes, I want to spend time with you, but imagine you and I are going to be together for what 30, 40 years of my life. After that, the next 30, 40 years of my life, I have to live alone. So if I sacrifice those for you and then you're not there for the rest of my life, why did I do that? What did I achieve in life? So there needs to be a balance.
That's actually very nice because I always have this struggle. I don't like going back home that long because I only go in my vacations, and I'm like I would rather finally have free time to do stuff that I was planning to do for the whole semester, but now I genuinely have the free time to do that. And now going back home, I can't do anything because like online this and here anymore. So this is where like yeah, I try to limit my time over there as much, and they hate that. But I tell them similar point to this. I was like, I have a life right now, guys. I have to work. I have responsibilities. This, that. I'm not some kid anymore that has to go back with you and follow you all along in your vacations and go back home. No, I have. That doesn't mean I don't like you guys. That doesn't mean I don't love you. It's a. I tell them this. I tell them you guys should appreciate how much I'm sacrificing. Okay. Obviously all I want to do is come back home and spend all the time with you. It's a deep sacrifice. I'm sacrificing that for other stuff. So I'm really struggling here too as well.
Oh, that's
I want to
wonderful.
spend time with you guys, but
But
it's
I
hurting
can't.
me and I can't.
Yeah, I have to go to Cancun. I have to go to Mexico. It's important. It's part of my responsibility. Oh, this is wonderful, Omar. I think we're coming to the end of our conversation. I really, really had fun talking to you. There was a lot to learn from you, even at a younger age. You know what's important to you, you know what worked for you. And I think that's wonderful to see. And I wish you nothing but success for your last 2 years of your pharmaceutical thing. Do you want to say anything that we have missed out before we close the conversation?
No, no, nothing really. I really, I'm also more focused on talking to people in the underage. I feel like they really need to become mentally stronger. And what I mean by mentally stronger is uh, they have to go after harder struggles, and at the same time along the way you should achieve the small challenges you have between you and yourself. Oh, you want to have this type of body, well, you have to work for it, but on the side, because it's not your main priority, but it's going to make your life somehow easier. That has to do with how, let's say, a struggle, talking to girls, it's a side challenge for you, but it's not a priority in your life. But along the way, these tiny challenges you cross off the list, you're like, okay, at least I feel like I'm being doing something to my words to myself. It makes the mental struggle easier because you cannot fix the big stuff right now, but these small challenges that you know what, I'm doing okay.
They're doing good. Yeah. No, that's wonderful advice. Thank you so much for your time, Omar. I hope you have fun and I hope you have a good start to your Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate talking to you and giving me the time to do this. And I'm really interested and looking forward for anything that comes up in the future as well.
Definitely, definitely looking forward. If I ever come to the US, if I ever come to Arizona, God forbid, I will be coming to you.
Absolutely. No, it will be a very, very fun time, my friend.
Yes, because I want to go to a desert. Living in the living, I think it's. I speak for both of us. Living in a country with a high temperature, you don't want to move to a country with high temperature. You
That's
want to go
exactly
to it.
true.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. And especially like a country, when I was younger, you had ACs everywhere. You had this and that. Here, I had to walk a lot of the time.
Indeed, indeed.
So
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Omar. Have fun, and I'll see you next time.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll catch you next time. Happy Friday. I just want to give you guys a heads up. The Roundtable is beginning for January 2024. The Roundtable is a mastermind group where I try to bring like minded yet cross functional people in one room under my facilitation, where we will go through goals, ideas, obstacles, even debates, where people are interested about something, they want to learn something from everyone else in the group and basically become a better version of themselves. I'm really, really enthusiastic about this project, and I'm really looking forward to seeing any one of you who wants to sign up and be part of the process. The link is on the website, of course, to sign up. And if you go to our Instagram or any of our social media links, you will see the link as well. It is also here below in the show notes. So if you're interested, just click the link, fill out the form, and I will catch you in an introductory call. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you next time.